Imagine a man so wealthy, he once offered to pay off his entire country's debt, just to avoid going to prison. $10 billion. That was Colombia's national debt in the late 1980s. And Pablo Escobar, drug lord, fugitive, congressman, and folk hero all at once, reportedly offered to pay every single dollar of it. In exchange for one thing, freedom. This is the story of a man who built an empire on cocaine, declared war on the Colombian government, and terrified a nation of 40 million people. A man who, even today, continues to fascinate and horrify the world. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born on December 1, 1949, in the small town of Rio Negro, Colombia. His father was a farmer, his mother, a schoolteacher. Soon after his birth, the family moved to Envigado, a suburb on the outskirts of Medellín. By his teenage years, Pablo had already chosen a different path. He sold fake diplomas. He smuggled stolen stereo equipment across borders. He stole tombstones, yes, tombstones, and resold them for profit. And he stole cars. That particular offense earned him his first arrest in 1974. He was just 24 years old. But the real turning point came with cocaine. As the drug trade flourished across South America, fueled by coca plants grown in Peru, Ecuador, and Bolivia, Escobar found his calling. Not as a farmer, not as a teacher's son, but as the man who would one day control the world's cocaine supply. In the mid-1970s, Escobar helped found what would become one of the most powerful criminal organizations in human history, the Medellín Cartel. His partners included the notorious Ochoa brothers, Juan David, Jorge Luis, and Fabio. Together, they built a machine that, at its peak, was earning an estimated $420 million per week. By the mid-1980s, the Medellín Cartel dominated the global cocaine trade. Escobar's personal fortune was estimated at roughly $25 billion. So much money, in fact, that he reportedly wrote off about 10% of it every year, because rats had eaten through the banknotes stored in warehouses. Think about that for a moment. $2 billion lost to rats. And he barely noticed. With that wealth came an empire of excess. Escobar built Hacienda Napoles, a 7,000-acre estate complete with a private zoo of giraffes, hippopotamuses, and camels. There were artificial lakes, a bullfighting arena, an airstrip, and dinosaur statues. The estate alone cost $63 million to build. And yet, Escobar also spent millions on the poor. He built houses. He funded football fields in the slums of Medellín. To many in the barrios, he wasn't a criminal. He was a benefactor. Some even called him a Robin Hood. That perception was powerful enough to win him a seat in the Colombian Congress in 1982. Plata o plomo, silver or lead, a bribe or a bullet. Those were the only two options Escobar ever offered. Behind the philanthropy lived a man of terrifying ruthlessness. Government officials, police officers, judges, civilians. Anyone who stood in his way faced a simple choice: accept the bribe or face the consequences. In 1989, the cartel placed a bomb on a commercial aircraft in an attempt to kill a single suspected informant. The bomb detonated mid-flight. More than 100 people died. An entire plane. For one man. When the United States demanded his extradition, the legal transfer of a criminal to face justice in another country, Escobar's response was immediate and violent. He declared war on the Colombian state. Bombs in shopping centers. Assassinations of presidential candidates. Thousands of deaths. His own words summed up his position precisely: "I would rather have a grave in Colombia than a jail cell in the United States." June 1991. Escobar surrenders to Colombian authorities. Conditions: he builds his own prison. July 1992. Officials attempt to transfer him. Escobar escapes. A global manhunt begins. December 1, 1993. Escobar celebrates his 44th birthday in hiding. December 2, 1993. His hideout is discovered. Colombian forces storm the building. Escobar is shot dead. As the manhunt intensified, the Colombian government struck a deal. In June 1991, on the very same day the Colombian Congress voted to prohibit extradition, Escobar surrendered. His prison, He built it himself, and he called it La Catedral, the cathedral. It had a nightclub, a sauna, a waterfall, a football field, telephones, computers, fax machines. The Colombian government had, essentially, handed a drug lord a luxury resort and called it justice. But even that wasn't enough to hold him. When officials finally decided to move him to a real prison in July 1992, Escobar simply walked out and vanished. The Colombian government, reportedly aided by American intelligence and even rival drug traffickers, launched the most intensive manhunt in the country's history. On December 1, 1993, Pablo Escobar turned 44. He celebrated in his hideout in Medellín with cake, wine, and marijuana. It was his last birthday. The next morning, Colombian forces discovered his location. They stormed the building. Escobar made it to the roof. A chase, a gunfight, and then silence. Pablo Escobar was dead, shot through the ear. Whether by government forces or by his own hand, remains disputed to this day. Within weeks of his death, the Medellín cartel collapsed entirely. The man who had once brought a nation to its knees was gone, and Colombia, slowly, painfully, began to breathe again. Pablo Escobar died at 44, but the story did not. His son, Juan Pablo Escobar, who later changed his name to Sebastián Marroquín, went on to write books about his father, trying to make sense of what it meant to be the child of the world's most feared criminal. His wife wrote her own memoir. Films were made. TV series followed. What draws us to a figure like Escobar is not admiration. It is something more unsettling: fascination. The sheer scale of what one human being built and destroyed in the span of a single life. He was a farmer's son who became a billionaire, a criminal who became a congressman, a terrorist who built football pitches for the poor, a man who declared war on an entire nation and almost won. The measure of a man is not the wealth he accumulates, but the ruin he leaves behind.